I've had this for a bit now, and a few people ask me about it, so here is my take. This is a combination sewing machine and embroidery machine for someone who wants to do everyday sewing, but also wants to add names, small designs, and simple decorative stitching without turning it into a whole computer project every time. I've been using it on regular cotton, denim that is not too thick, knit fabric for simple hems, and a bunch of embroidery tests on tote bags and sweatshirts. What makes this one feel different in day-to-day use is that it can connect over wireless local area network. I did not think I would care about that, because I am used to moving files around with a cable or a drive. But once I set it up, I stopped thinking about it, and that is kind of the point. When I want to send an embroidery file from my computer, I can do it without getting up to find a cord. I also noticed it is easier to keep the machine updated since it can receive updates without me doing anything complicated. It is not magic. It still depends on your home wireless being stable, but in my case it has been consistent. Physically, it feels like a modern home machine. It is not tiny, but it is light enough that I can move it around my room without needing help. The plastic body does not feel fragile and the buttons and screen do not feel mushy. I am not gentle with my tools, and so far it has held up to being carried, shifted on a table, covered, uncovered, and used in longer sessions. It stays put while sewing, especially if you have it on a solid table. If your table wobbles, you will feel that more than you will feel the machine itself moving. The screen is a big part of how you use it. It has a color touchscreen that is about 3.7 inches. In real use, that means I am not guessing what design I picked. I can preview the embroidery in color and catch obvious mistakes before I stitch. I also like it for basic sewing because I can quickly switch stitches without hunting through a tiny menu. The touchscreen is responsive most of the time, but if my hands are dry or I tap too lightly, I sometimes have to tap again. It is not a deal breaker, it just feels like a normal consumer touchscreen, not a phone. Setup was straightforward. I followed the manual the first time, then after that I did it from memory. Threading is where this machine saves me time. The automatic needle threader is one of those features that I now refuse to do without. When I am swapping thread colors for embroidery, I do not want to squint at the needle and fight it. Here I can rethread quickly and keep moving. It does not work perfectly if I use a thread that is extra fuzzy or if I do not seat the thread correctly, but when I slow down and follow the path, it works. The bobbin system is the drop-in top style, and it is designed to reduce jams. In practice, I still treat bobbin loading like it matters because it does. If I rush it and the thread is not laid correctly, any machine can act up. With normal loading and decent thread, I have had smooth sewing and smooth embroidery. When I did get a nest of thread, it was because I forgot to lower the presser foot and I started sewing. That is on me. Cleaning it out was not hard, and the included tools made it manageable. For sewing, I tried the built-in stitches on hems, simple seams, and decorative edges. The machine has a lot of stitches available, but what matters to me is whether the common ones look consistent and whether the tension is predictable. On quilting cotton and medium-weight fabric, I got clean stitches without a lot of fiddling. On knits, I had to take a minute to pick the right stretch stitch and adjust my handling, but once I did, it behaved. If you are planning to sew thick stacks like heavy canvas seams all day, I would not treat this as an industrial machine. It can handle some thickness, but it is happiest in normal home projects. Buttonholes were also easy to live with. It has one-step buttonholes, and once I practiced on scrap fabric, I could repeat the result without surprises. I still recommend practicing because buttonholes show every mistake and fabric choice matters. When I used interfacing, the result looked cleaner and more consistent. Embroidery is where I spent most of my time. The included designs are actually useful for learning what the machine likes. I tested a few different built-in patterns and adjusted thread colors on the screen. The embroidery area is 4 inches by 4 inches, which sounds limiting on paper, but in real life it covers a lot of what I personally do, like monograms, small logos, patches, and simple corner designs on towels. The larger work area around the needle also helps, because I can position fabric and the hoop without feeling cramped. The machine gives me enough space to guide things without constantly bumping into the body. I also use the fonts for names. For gifts, I like doing a name on a tote bag or a sweatshirt. The lettering stitched cleanly as long as I stabilize the fabric. On stretchy material, I needed proper stabilizer or it would pucker. That is not a machine flaw, that is just embroidery. What I appreciate is that the preview on the screen helped me place it and confirm spelling before it's stitched. I have made spelling mistakes before on other setups, and you do not forget that feeling. The mobile app side is useful if you like playing with patterns casually. I tried creating a simple custom design on my phone and sending it over wireless. When it works, it is convenient. I can sit on the couch, sketch something basic, and send it over without touching a cable. The limitation is that detailed artwork still takes patience. If you expect the app to turn any drawing into perfect stitches without cleanup, that is not realistic. For simple shapes and small personalized elements, it is fine. For more complex designs, I still prefer preparing files on a computer where I have more control. Noise level is what I expect from a home machine. It is not silent. During embroidery, you will hear it working steadily, and I would not run it next to someone trying to sleep. Vibration has been controlled as long as the table is stable. I did a longer embroidery run and it stayed consistent, but I still check thread paths, bobbin thread, and tension like I would on any machine. Accessories are included, and I actually used several of them. The different feet are helpful because you can switch to a zipper foot, a button foot, or an overcasting foot and get more predictable results. I like that the machine comes with enough basics to start sewing and embroidering without immediately shopping for extras. I still ended up buying more stabilizer and extra bobbins because that is just how embroidery goes. My small complaints are mostly about the reality of using a touchscreen and wireless features on a craft tool. Wireless setup can be annoying if your router is finicky, and if your signal drops, you might have to resend a file. The screen is good but not huge, so if you are doing a lot of editing on the machine itself, it can feel a little slow compared to doing that work on a computer. Also, the 4" by 4" embroidery size will feel tight if you already know you want big jacket back designs. You can still do larger projects by rehooping and aligning carefully, but that takes experience and patience. Overall, my impression is that this machine makes it easier for me to go from idea to finished project without adding a lot of friction. For someone who sews regularly and wants embroidery for personalization, gifts, and small design work, it fits into real life pretty well. It is not trying to replace a commercial setup. It is a practical home machine that feels friendly once you learn the basics, and it saves time in the spots that usually slow people down, like threading, design selection, and file transfer. If you have questions about a specific fabric, stabilizer choice, or the kind of projects you want to do with it, leave a comment and I will tell you what I found in my own use. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and thank you for watching.